Hello, I'm Jose. I'm in Group 5 along with Alexandria, Ashley, Kareem, Taylor, and Victoria. We chose to do our public service announcement on electronic cigarettes.
Even though they are presented as a safe alternative to tobacco products, e-cigarettes are not harmless. They contain carcinogens and other dangerous chemicals that pose a serious health risk. Until they are fully regulated and researched, e-cigarettes should be approached with caution due to their potential health hazards. There has been a rise in e-cigarette use over the past few years. The highest amount of users is a combination of current smokers and young adults. The amount of people that currently smoke who have used an e-cigarette rose from about 10% in 2010 to 36.5% in 2013. As far as gender is concerned, men are more likely to try e-cigarettes when compared to women, with a difference of about 3%. Most races have equally used e-cigarettes, with a rate around 6 to 8%. But non-Hispanic American Indians and Alaskan Natives have the highest amount of those who have tried e-cigarettes, followed by non-Hispanic whites. While we already mentioned that the use among young adults is the highest, the use of electronic cigarettes has tripled among middle school and high school age students.
Here we have a picture of your conventional cigarettes. On the lower part of the picture we have an e-cigarette. So let's talk a little bit about the history of cigarettes. Tobacco, which is the main ingredient in cigarettes, have been a part of the Americas for a very long time. The first commercial cigarettes were made in 1865 by a man named Washington Duke in North Carolina. In 1964, the Surgeon General wrote a report indicating the dangers of smoking. He indicated that cigarettes contain high levels of nicotine and tar, which cause lung cancer. After the 1980s, federal regulations have become really strict. Taxes have risen on cigarettes, and some places banned the use of cigarettes, like airports and airplane rides. So let's talk about e-cigarettes. They get their name from looking like a regular cigarette, but they're not a cigarette. They are mainly a vaporizing tool. E-cigarettes were originally created as a method to stop traditional smoking by providing a healthier alternative, which could possibly lead to quitting altogether. Now, to give an example of how fast e-cigarettes have grown in the past years, e-cigarettes in 2010 were only being used by about 3% of the population. Today, we see e-cigarettes in every store, and we don't see much regulation on them. Maybe if full laws are starting to come into play, but before there was really no regulation on them. And we often see e-cigarettes as a recreational tool for younger individuals or even at any age group.
E-cigarettes contain a flavored liquid which is vaporized. This e-liquid mainly consists of propylene glycol, glycerin, and nicotine. Propylene glycol can form propylene oxide, a cancer-causing agent, when heated and vaporized. Propylene glycol exposure may also result in eye and respiratory irritation. Heated glycerin forms acrolein, which may damage the lungs and cause upper respiratory tract infection. Inhaling nicotine may cause nausea, dizziness, and vomiting. High nicotine concentrations in cartridges may pose an increased risk of nicotine toxicity. Secondhand smoke from e-cigarettes is also harmful to bystanders, just as regular cigarettes are.
Popcorn lung originally came from popcorn factories as the workers developed lung disease from inhalation of the diacetyl chemical used to create the buttery flavor of popcorn. Today, this same chemical is used in electronic cigarettes and can cause a life-threatening and non-reversible obstructive lung disease known as popcorn lung. A study in 2015 showed that diacetyl is present in 34 of the 51 flavors tested.
Even though e-cigarettes are not completely similar to regular cigarettes, they still contain the most addicting component, nicotine. Challenges that may prevent someone from quitting can be physical or psychological. Physical symptoms include not being able to sleep, you become irritable, and you can also form headaches. Smoking and or vaping is a habit, and when it gets ingrained into your everyday routine, you form a psychological dependence upon it. Therefore, when smoking is gone, you experience anxiety and may even become depressed. Choosing to stop smoking or vaping can be a difficult task, but it is not an impossible one. A lot of the physical symptoms linked to nicotine withdrawal subside within a few days. The biggest challenge is linked to psychological dependence, and the only way to overcome this would be having the willpower to do so. Vaping is a fairly new trend, and all of the effects of it are still not known, but it still contains some of the harsh components that regular cigarettes do. We all know smoking is detrimental to our health. So when thinking about quitting, ask yourself, is your addiction more important than your health? Not only can vaping become bad on your health, it can also put a burden on your wallet. Depending on how often you vape and what kind of e-cigarettes you use, there can be a huge financial burden. Vaping is fairly new, and all health effects are not known. But if it leads to some of the same serious diseases caused by smoking, the financial and health costs will be massive.
E-cigarettes also place a stress on one's wallet, increasing medical bills by an average of $6,000 more compared to non-smokers. Make sure one is thinking of the economic, social, and health effects before deciding to light up. Change your habits before your habits change you.